Before we begin, make sure your radio is already bound to your drone. If you're not sure how to do that, I've linked a short tutorial in the description. Now, turn on your radio.
Welcome to HTX.
And connect your drone to your computer using a USB cable. Betaflight should connect automatically. You should now see a 3D model of your drone on the screen. Try tilting and rotating your drone. If the model on screen moves the same way, that means your gyro is working properly. Next, let's check your controller in the Receiver tab. Head over to the Receiver tab in Betaflight. This is where you can test if your drone is communicating with your radio. Move your sticks and flip some switches. If everything is connected properly, you'll see the bars move on screen in real time. This is also how you identify which aux channels are linked to which switches. I want to show you some examples that we will use in later sections when we assign modes to switches. When I press this button on my controller, the aux1 slider goes to maximum, which means this here is aux1. Now, aux2 moves when I flick this switch. Notice how this is a three-way switch. It can go all the way down, in the middle, or all the way up. Slider moves like this on different switch positions. The three-way switch on the right side is aux3, and this button here is aux4. One last thing to do on the screen is to turn on telemetry by clicking this thing right here. Now click Save and Reboot. And just a reminder, always save your changes before switching to another tab. Now let's go to the Configuration tab. You can change your drone's name by entering it in Craft Name section. You will be able to display it on your OSD that we will learn how to do later in this video. Now you can scroll down until you find the Airmode setting. As a beginner, you don't want Airmode permanently enabled. We'll assign it to a switch later, so you can turn it on and off manually. Go ahead and turn it off here. Click Save and Reboot at the bottom. Now let's move on to the power and battery settings. Here, we're going to tell your drone your cell's voltage values so it shows us correct information when we fly. Set the minimum voltage to around 3.3 volts. For your maximum cell voltage, if you're using high voltage HV LiPos, set your maximum cell voltage to 4.35. For regular ones, use 4.2. And for warning voltage, I personally use 3.45. This voltage value is when the drone will start showing the low battery alert. 3.45 volts gives me enough time to return home before the battery gets too low. Now let's talk about rates. Go to the PID tuning section. Ignore the PID profile settings for now. The default works well for most beginner drones. What we care about here are the rate profile settings tab. Rates control how sensitive your drone is to stick movements. I recommend switching to actual rates instead of Betaflight, since actual rates are easier to understand. Everyone has their own preference when it comes to rates, but you can start off with the default ones that come with your drone, or you can try out mine by screenshotting the screen. Feel free to experiment later, and if you want a deep dive on understanding rates, let me know in the comments. Let's explore the Modes tab now. This is where you assign your remote switches to control things like arming the drone and switching flight modes. On the left of the screen, you'll see modes like arm, angle, horizon, and more. Next to each one, you select which aux switch controls it. I use aux1 to arm my drone. This large bar shows the full range of your controller switch. The yellow slider is where your controller switch needs to be for the mode to be active. And this little yellow marker shows where the switch currently is on your controller. When I press the aux1 switch, yellow marker moves to the area I've assigned as the active region. The drone will be armed when it's pressed. Now, if you look at aux2 here, which was a three-way switch, it has two different modes set on it. When aux2 switch is all the way down, angle mode is on. The yellow active slider is in this region. When aux2 is in the middle, horizon mode is on because the yellow slider is in the center region now. And when the switch is all the way on the top, that is the default mode, which is acro mode. You don't assign acro mode to a switch. When angle and horizon are off, acro is on by default. Now uncheck hide unused modes at the top if it is checked, so we can add a few more modes. First is Air Mode. Find Air Mode in this list. Click on Add Range. Move the switch on your remote that you want this mode assigned to, and it will detect automatically. Move the yellow slider if you have to the position you want the mode to be active on. And that's it. I have assigned Air Mode to aux in the middle switch. Now I can turn Air Mode on and off as I wish. Then we assign Flip After Crash to a switch. I have assigned it to the same switch as Air Mode at a different position, like this. If your drone has a beeper, you can assign that to a switch also. I've set it on this one right here. Let's move on to the Motors tab. There are two settings I want you to check. Turn Motor Stop on. This stops the props from spinning when the drone is armed but throttle is at 0. Then enable bidirection D-shot. This is useful for RPM filtering and telemetry. You don't need to understand all the technical details just yet. Just know that these help with performance and safety. Now let's set up your OSD, the on-screen display. Go to the OSD tab. This screen is what you see in your FPV goggles. On the left, you'll see a list of a lot of elements. It has voltage, timer, flight mode, RSSI, and many more. Check the boxes for what you want to see on your screen. Make sure warning elements turned on. This is crucial. You can drag these elements around on the screen to place them where you like. Try not to add too much. A cluttered OSD can be distracting. Here's what I personally show in mine. Next up is the Video Transmitter tab. This is where you set your video signal's band, channel, and power. Most people recommend using race band, channel 1, as it should have least interference with other public signals in the air like Wi-Fi. You can also set the output power. Higher power gives you more range, but also creates more heat and slightly less flight time. Choose what suits your flying environment. 100 watt should be a good starting point for most of your needs. I usually have low power disarm turned on as well. This lowers your VTX power when your drone is disarmed, helping it stay cool on the bench. Finally, let's turn crash recovery on in the CLI tab. This is a very quick but useful feature. Open the CLI tab and type in these two lines one by one. Set crash_recovery is equal to on, and then save. What this does is, it helps your drone stabilize itself if it hits something mid-air. Instead of tumbling out of the sky, it will try to recover and level itself. Super helpful for beginners. And that's it, folks. You've now got all the essential Betaflight settings set up for a safe, fun, and smooth flying. If this video helped, leave a like and consider subscribing for more FPV guides.